Hey everyone, and welcome back. You've probably seen this all over your social media feeds. A rose cutting stuck into a potato, promising to magically sprout a whole new bush. It's one of the most famous gardening hacks out there, but today, we're going to figure out if it's a brilliant shortcut or a total hoax.
So, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can you really just grab a potato from your kitchen and use it to grow beautiful roses? We're going to dig deep into this one, separate the facts from the fiction, and get you a real answer.
I mean, this hack is huge. It has millions and millions of views, and so many people swear by it. But here's the thing. When you look at what a rose cutting actually needs to survive, the story starts to get a whole lot more complicated.
So first, let's just talk about how this whole idea got so big. Believe it or not, this isn't some newfangled internet trend. It's actually been floating around in old gardening books and columns for ages. But, social media got a hold of it and boom, it went from a quirky little tip to a massive global sensation.
The method itself is just so simple, which is part of its charm, right? You snip a cutting from a rose, you jab a hole in a potato, stick the cutting in, and then you plant the whole shebang. The appeal is totally obvious. It's cheap, it's easy, and it just feels like a smart, organic solution. So what is this humble potato supposed to be doing for our little rose cutting? Well, if you believe the hype, the claims are pretty darn impressive. People who love this method say the potato is the perfect little life support system. It's supposed to provide a constant, steady stream of water to keep the cutting from drying out. It's supposed to feed it with all those starches and nutrients, and on top of that, it's meant to act as a shield against both dehydration and nasty diseases.
So you've got this all-in-one, completely natural, biodegradable rooting kit sitting right in your pantry. It honestly sounds perfect, maybe a little too perfect. And as we're about to find out, when it comes to plant science, that's usually a pretty big red flag. All right, now for the fun part. Let's put these popular claims to the test and see what happens when we compare them to the actual science of how a plant cutting grows roots. You see, for a cutting to have any chance of developing roots, it needs a few things that are absolutely non-negotiable. Yeah, it definitely needs moisture and humidity. But, and this is crucial, it needs oxygen at its base to breathe. It also needs special hormones, called auxins, that basically tell the stem, hey, time to grow some roots. And finally, it needs a nice, stable, warm temperature. Okay, so let's tackle that moisture claim first. Sure, a potato is mostly water, but the second you bury it, it starts to rot. And that decomposition process sucks up all the available oxygen in the soil around it. This creates what's called an anaerobic environment, basically a slimy, airless pocket of mush. Instead of helping the cutting, it literally suffocates it and becomes the perfect place for rot to set in.
And if that wasn't bad enough, let's talk about the nutrients. A rose cutting simply doesn't have the ability to absorb and use the complex starches that are locked up inside a potato. So as that potato breaks down, all of its sugars become the perfect all-you-can-eat buffet for something else entirely. A whole host of harmful bacteria and fungi.
I mean, this quote from a horticultural study just sums it up perfectly. You're not creating a nurturing environment. You're creating a petri dish for disease. You're taking a wounded plant stem and shoving it right into a breeding ground for the exact pathogens that cause it to rot from the bottom up.
So, the theory is definitely not looking good for the potato. But hey, what about the real-world results? Let's look at what happens when this method gets put to the test in actual controlled experiments. And wow, the data could not be more clear. In head-to-head trials, the potato method has a success rate of less than 10%. Let that sink in. You have a way better chance, like 3 to 5 times better, just by sticking the cutting directly into some good, clean soil. And when you use a little bit of rooting hormone, the success rate just skyrockets to between 70 and 90%. The numbers don't lie. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This is the big puzzle, right? If the science is so clear and the data shows it's a massive failure, then why are there so many videos and articles from people who insist it worked for them? Well, the answer has a lot more to do with psychology than it does with gardening. It comes down to a classic psychological phenomenon called attribution error. See, roses can be surprisingly tough. A small number of cuttings might actually manage to root in spite of the terrible conditions. So when someone plants, say, 10 potato cuttings and only one survives, they don't see the 9 failures, they see the 1 success. And they give all the credit to the potato, completely ignoring the fact that the potato is what caused the other 9 to rot away.
All right, so busting a myth is one thing, but that's only half the story. Let's talk about the simple, science-backed method that will actually get you that 90% success rate we saw in the chart.
It really just boils down to 4 simple critical steps. 1, you prepare a healthy cutting. 2, you dip that cut end in a little rooting hormone. That's what sends the signal to grow roots. 3, you plant it in a sterile, airy potting mix that gives it both moisture and that all-important oxygen. And finally, 4, you create a little mini greenhouse with a plastic bag or a dome to keep the humidity super high.
And there you have it. The real secret isn't some clever hack you found online. It's just about managing the basics, keeping things clean, making sure there's plenty of air, and maintaining that high humidity. That's it.
And this final quote really brings it all home. Success isn't found in a kitchen pantry or a starchy tuber. It's found in understanding what a plant needs and carefully managing its environment. So save those potatoes for dinner and give your roses the science-backed care they actually need to thrive. The internet is just packed with these kinds of tips and tricks that promise incredible results. So what's another one you've always been a little suspicious about? Let us know down below, and we might just investigate it in our next explainer. Thanks for watching.